Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Banao Bharat's Trading for Living Wednesday live session. Slightly weakish day today in Nifty as well as in Bank Nifty. We saw on Monday there was a good gap up in the index, and for 2 days it was in sideways movement. After a big gap up opening, there was no follow up buying which pushed the prices higher, but at the same time there were no selling levels also. So it was very clear bears also were not interested in taking any aggressive short trades at those levels. But then even bulls were slightly skeptical on the further course of action by the overall market. So we could see market was just floating in kind of sideways zone. Today Nifty opens at least 2 days below. The opening candle was at around 18,680. It has made a lower high again today and opens below 2 days low. After that it goes all the way up to 18,566, and now it has come back to the levels of 18,630. On the chart, some amount of weakness is visible today. The way Nifty has opened and the way the opening move has transpired, and the pullback now which may not cross morning high and it may not close in a big positive. So seems there is some amount of weakness. This is the chart of Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty also had a gap up opening on Monday morning, and Bank Nifty also for 2 days was in a kind of sideways zone without conquering Monday's high of 44,525. And again there was no weakness because Monday's lows was not taken out, Tuesday's low was not taken out. Today, for the first time after 2 days of sideways movement, we are seeing Bank Nifty also breaking 2 days low of 44,200 and going below that up to 43,986, which means about 214 or 15 points have been traveled after breaking 2 days low. But the point to notice, it is not staying at the lower levels. The pullback is happening, and pullback might, if it closes above 44,200. 44,200 is the 2 days of low. It cuts, goes down but does not sustain, and by the end of the day it travels back and conquers 44,200 once again and closes above that. That means we need to really verify if this downtrend will sustain in the coming days or not. The same with Nifty also. Nifty closes or takes out 18,648 in the morning. After taking out 18,648, goes up to 18,566. I would say about 80 points. After that it is now making a pullback attempt. Will it again go back to 18,648 levels and stay above that level by the end of the session is what we need to wait and watch. If it stays above that, then it is an indication it tried to break the multiple days low, it tried to went down, but then by the end of the session it had made good all of the losses and it had climbed back. The way the pullback is happening, looks like markets are not very weak. This is the first signs or a first day of weakness that has been displayed on the index. So probably couple of more days of fall and then staying lower will ensure there will be reversal of the trend. But now this is a kind of after 2 days of sideways movement in the index, I would say this is a kind of pullback that is happening. This is not a reversal in trend. This is more of a pullback, which the way once it makes a kind of low and then it takes out, it means it conquers the lows again. It means the index or the script is not that very weak. Yes, we have seen for 2 days it didn't conquer or make significant highs. Nevertheless, it didn't make any breakdown and on the third day when we are seeing some amount of fall, this fall also is getting conquered, which means markets are not ready to fall so easily, and at the same time there may not be enough strength, but bears are kind of failing. So today some of the observations will be on gap filling. We all know there was a gap between 18,570 on Friday close and Monday opening at around 18,700. In technical analysis world, many people talk of gaps getting filled. Today we will discuss, is there any merit in such discussion? Is there any strategy that we can define based on these kind of analysis? Firstly, is there any empirical evidence that gaps gets filled? We need to study for many years. We have to first define what is our gap definition. When do we call a gap? Whenever there is a gap opening, many a times people play for the reversal side, thinking the gap gets filled. And today if you see, for all of those proponents or believers of gap filling theory will say, see, there was a gap up on Monday and by Wednesday it had started falling down and it came up to 18,570 levels, exactly filling the gap, and now it has bounced back. So it might look like gap filling theory holds good, but I have been in technical analysis for many years now, and in my last so many years of experience, my observation has been this gap filling theory does not hold good. Retracement of gaps may or may not happen. Many a times it happens, many a times it does not happen, but we cannot say for sure, or even with certain amount of, or at least 70% certainty, we cannot say that gaps get filled. I have studied too many gaps on a daily chart, and I can say I have not been able to decipher anything out of the gaps. In fact, in my trend following system, I have defined 7 types of gaps. I have defined what is my trend continuation gaps, what are trend reversal gaps, what are pullback gaps on the upside, pull down gaps on the downside. So something like this, we have made many definitions for gap, and making use of all of these gap definitions, when I observe each time whenever there is a gap, if it comes down, is it coming down till where, and can we play this as a strategy? Whenever there is a gap, can we play it as a gap filling as a strategy? I have not been able to define any high probable strategy to say gaps gets filled and we can play them. So it is a different matter, just we talk of certain technical observations, but it is of no use if we cannot define it and make a strategy out of it. There are so many theories which is good for discussion, which is good for hearing, which is good for understanding, but as long as we don't define rules for those theories and as long as it is not implementable, then it is of not much significance for traders. One such theory is gap filling theory. Today it looks like the gap has filled and it is bounced back from that exact levels, but if you ask me, is there a strategy on how to play the gaps, I would say it is always better to play the gaps on the breakout side and not on the reversal side. There is no empirical evidence to prove at least there is 70% success rate in playing the reversals on the gap day. I have not been able to define any profitable strategy on those lines. So I would prefer, whenever there is a gap, play the breakout story rather than the reversal story. If the trend is up and if there is a gap up, continue to play on the long side, because the trend is also there and trend continues with a big gap up, maybe with some event or some information or some new perspective in the market. So there is definitely, it is not a case for reversal and filling of the gap, it is a case for playing on the breakout. The same with reversal gaps also. Whenever the trend is up or on the downside, and when there is a reversal gap opening much below the existing trend, then there is some new information, market will discount that information, maybe some pullback might come from the reversal gaps, but it is like, better to not trade those pullbacks on the reversal gaps. Instead, wait for volatility to settle down and play on the side of the gap. If the gap is on the upside, go and play on the long side. If the gap opening is on the downside, play on the downside. After the volatility kind of subsides or the price action kind of calms down with 3 or 4 candles, then you can take on the direction of the gap. So my experience and my observation would say, like, there is not much merit with respect to the gap filling theory. So we cannot devise any profitable strategies. At least I was not able to devise any profitable strategy for gap filling. But yes, there are these kind of today's incidents where we are seeing perfect gap filling and perfect pullback from exact those points. Friday closes at 18,650, I am sorry, 550, and today it comes down to exact those levels and bounces from there. So these are sometimes, like, whenever we see these kind of phenomena happening, we go back and observe all other previous gaps, and we see, like, after that gap happened, what was the subsequent price movement, and before the gap happened, what was the price action at that moment. Today if you see, like, for this week, Monday's gap, we are already in an uptrend, we were never in a downtrend. In an uptrend, there is one more gap up, and, like, there is no case for us to play on the short side or on the reversal side. It is better we wait for the right entries on the long side. So this is one information which I wanted to bring to people's notice today about the gap filling, because today any technical person would say there is a perfect gap fill, which is true also, but then we cannot devise a profitable strategy based on these kind of gaps. Or at least, like, somebody has to study at every gap what was the previous setup and what are all the kind of gaps which started coming down. I have tried to do that exercise, but I have not been able to figure out any playable strategy till now. So having said that, hope, like, you people are trading well, learning well, not just on the strategy side, but also on your risk management, money management, and also psychological setups. All of these things are important to be successful in trading. Just a strategy alone will not take you far. Just a risk management alone will not take you far. Just having a good mindset will not take you far. Lot of factors should fall in place at the right moment, and together only then it can happen. You need sufficient money, you need sufficient experience, sufficient skills, knowledge, information, and also right amount of wisdom along with luck to play out beautifully and become kind of a class player. Everybody scores runs, but not everybody scores like Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli or our latest sensation now, Shubman Gill. So there are some people born with that kind of fineness, but some people are not born with fineness, but we can all learn. So always to a question whether stock market is learnable, definitely yes. Stock market to a large extent is a learnable skill. In fact, talking of psychological setups and the character, habits, these things are required anyway for any profession, not just for our stock market or for a trader. A psychological, the right mindset, the right attitude, right character, right habits, right discipline, right ethics, these are required not just in this profession, these are required in any profession for that matter. Apart from that, what is left is the strategy and the risk management, and these things are more of mathematical, more of logical, more of manageable. So we can learn. Trading is a learnable skill. It is not like, only people like Rakesh Junjunwala or only people like Ramesh Damani or only few people can make it big in stock markets. Anybody can make it big if they have a fairly working strategy along with a robust risk management system, and of course having basic ingredients of good character and psychological setup. So this is what I feel is important for the person to be successful. And to learn these things, you will need a mentor or you will need a right coach who can observe your patterns, who can observe your trading habits, who can observe your lifestyle and suggest you certain corrections or change of course of action so that you can reduce those mistakes and work on your strengths. We need to parallelly or simultaneously work on our strengths as well as on our weaknesses. It's not like, we leave the weakness unattended and we work only on our strengths. We need to correct our weakness also, and also we have to work on our strengths simultaneously. All of these things should happen simultaneously. There is only 24 hours for all of us. Every day morning, what we do on a daily basis definitely counts. So if you want to be a serious trader, then you need to be serious about this stock market. Coming to the markets, Nifty currently trading at 18,617. It has filled the gap of Friday's close and it has made a comeback attempt. Will this pullback where it closes matters today? Based on that, the future price action will be determined. Nifty trading at 18,625, Bank Nifty trading at 44,183, almost close to 44,200, the level which it broke today. It broke a level and it has come back to that level. It signifies the lows are not being held. Well, that's it from my side today. Let us once again meet tomorrow morning with a fresh perspective. Until then, Om Swasti.